Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Poetry in Motion podcast. It is me, Isaiah, and I'm here with the filmmaker behind. I guess it's viral now. I guess you can consider this viral, right? Worship
Thankfully,
Awry,
yes.
Worship Awry, the animated film by Ryan Mesidor. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm excellent. I'm excellent. I'm glad that we can talk about this. I like to keep it chill and casual here. So we're just gonna have a chat about everything related to the film because I've watched it a few times now, and
Well,
the frame at I think 6:15, that one still
hmm
gets. I'm like that is perfect. You know what I mean? The it's cinema, absolute cinema. Um,
Hey,
so
you. That was a good
so
reference. I like it.
listen, I'm full of them. I'm full of the references. You know what I mean? So, first I want to get into how has things changed since this has been out here? Because it went like it just
Mm.
kind of took off. Like, how are you doing with everything? I saw your DMs were probably just flooded. I'm surprised I even got out in contact with you because your DMs are probably just crazy.
Yeah, I just graduated and it was my thesis film. So I was already in a lot of transitions. And so when it did go viral, I wasn't even aware of it because I was so caught up in my own life
Right.
until my friends told me. But I think the transition was weird because I'm not used to that much attention given to my work, except if it's my peers in which we're workshopping. So it was weird at first, but through a lot of prayer, self-reflection, and intentionally reading the comments with a good lens, I was able to receive it healthfully and well. And from that, I did get a lot of like job opportunities, which I'm so grateful for and networked with a lot of people. And it was hard going through all the DMs, but I
Right.
allocated literally days to just read through because by the grace of God, it was a lot of people who saw it. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's sitting what, like, here, let me check. Like 135,000. Like
Yeah.
that took off, and I think I got to it early on. So then I think I got to it around 10K, and then I went back and checked. I had it saved in my watch later. I was like, okay, because I need to watch it again. I want to reach out, and then I was like, whoa, this is at 50, and
I
I
know.
I went back. I'm like, whoa, this is it's at 100. Whoa, just took off. I mean,
I'm in the same boat as you. I mean, I don't actively check my views, so
right,
it will be a week later. Fun fact, it really blew up mainly on IG too. And so every time I post on IG, I post weekly. I do a post and I delete IG right after because I don't want
right,
to track my views.
yeah.
So like you, I would check back. I would be like, oh, whoa, that's a lot.
That's good. I mean, that means people resonate with it, right? I mean, that means one, the algorithm liked it, one, obviously, but that means people resonated with it enough to like, hey, we need to go back, we need to share this, we need to reach out. Um, and like, even like, I know you kind of talked a little bit about like within the film, and like the film description about like, inspiration. It was a podcast, I believe, that kind of inspired it, and it was and based on true events. You talk about a little bit about like the inspirations behind the film.
Yeah, so this film, it was the ideation of it was conceived actually last summer, in which I was taking a screenwriting class because I like to screenwrite. I am a storyteller. I love stories. I actually screen wrote kind of this outline for a movie idea, which was about Christian girls. Um, because I was raised around a lot of Christian women
Hmm.
with different perspectives, and particularly Black women as well. And so I did a whole like script outline of that, but I was like, that would be for a movie pitch later down, and it
Right.
still might be. But I let that go, and then I think at the end of the summer, ironically, I listened to a podcast that like marked me, and it was Lisa Harper's podcast. If you don't know Lisa Harper, y'all should. She's just an incredible theologian who talks about God all the time in just fascinating ways. But she featured this worship leader, um, and he was a worship leader for 10 years. Actually, he was a worship leader for way longer. Sorry. He had a traumatic event that caused him to have panic attacks for about 10 years. And he talked about his story and his process through all of that. And I was just struck a chord from him because I resonated with that, with personal events in my life, dealing with the traumatic robbery that I experienced while also being in faith.
Hmm.
And I was like, whoa, I'm not alone in that. And so when he had that, I decided to interview him myself.
Okay.
And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make a film that combines his story, my story, and the original kind of like theme of the girl movie script that I made in the summer. And I combined that all together, and Worship Awry came about from that. So those are my
Okay.
sources of inspiration. Yeah.
Got you. I mean, it's interesting that you say like you're not alone in that, and I feel like a lot of people that were watching it were probably feeling the same way. Like even if it
Mm,
wasn't like the exact same experience, just having that thoughts of like how has this traumatic experience happened to me, and I'm still supposed to be in a position where I feel loved by God. Like I feel like that's a similar experience that people can relate to, which is probably another reason why like it took off the way it did, because that's something that's so like grounded. I feel like in a lot of people, where it's like
yeah.
I haven't experienced this exact thing by the grace of God, but it's something I can relate to it. There's something there that I can relate to. Um,
Yeah. And honestly, you really touch a good part because I think one of my goals, I made a whole slideshow pitch for my film, to my film workshop because my school has film workshop sessions. And literally one of the goals of my film was to incite introspection, but also to destigmatize and also to represent, I think, a faith that is often misconstrued because of just the environments that we're always in. And so I really wanted people to feel seen on all types of spectrums because
right.
although we have different beliefs, I think we all share a universal experience of pain. And how do we process that?
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. That's good. That's good. And CalArts grad, right? So
yes, long time coming.
we're we're working. We're working.
Yes,
Excellent.
yes, thankfully.
Excellent. That's good. I'm glad to hear that, because like I've had discussions with people like either come out of, like a film school or an art school. It's like, man, jobs. Even me not coming out of like an arts, curriculum, it's like, ooh, jobs. Like where are those
Yeah,
at? So I'm glad. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you that you're in that position, because
yeah.
that's needed,
I'm so grateful, really thankful. I mean, a lot of it did come from my film, because after
as it should.
it gained a lot of recognition, people reached out to me and wanted to have kind of reiterations of it for their own work. And so,
Mm,
I'm really grateful for the
excellent.
opportunities I had.
I want to talk about the art style a little bit,
Okay, cool.
because there's something about it is so it's like unique in a way that like I can see every shape. Like I can see every shape, but it still feels like very grounded in reality. Like everything makes sense. And I don't know if that's like I don't know how did you develop that art style a little bit? Um, because it feels very Ryan even without me knowing you. You know what I mean? Like something about it, I was like, this feels like only something Ryan would make, and I don't even know Ryan.
Thank you. You know what's funny? On the post that went viral on IG that got millions of views, the most like comment was someone said this art style is raw. And
Right.
it
I
had
was
like
just about to say
20K
that too.
likes.
I was just about to say the same
And
thing.
I was just like, it was so interesting to me because I was intentional with my style, but at the same time, there was a lot of it that was just my natural hand,
Yeah, yeah.
that I've developed over the years as I've always been drawing. And so, it's really interesting to see someone else's perspective on something that feels more normal to me.
Hmm.
But I can say my inspirations for a lot of the stylistic choices I made, particularly for this film, was drawn from One Piece fan letter.
Hmm.
If you haven't watched that, it's basically this little short that was derived from this light novel based on One Piece.
Hmm.
It's 20 minutes. I was inspired by the visual style and how they really focused on shapes and specifically light shapes. I really studied that and implemented that into my work. And then I created a whole Pinterest board of basically a lot of um films, kind of like Tech on Concrete, animation style with that and things like that. I had a whole Pinterest board and I kind of like drew inspiration from that. But honestly, over the years, I don't necessarily focus on my style. I focus more on trying to depict what I'm trying to convey.
Right.
And what that comes with is like a lot of life drawing. I just draw what I see around me. I get better at depicting things around me so people can actually believe it. And the more I practice that, I think my style naturally is just imbued in it. And so with my inspirations that I did name, and also with just like practicing my art, I guess it developed into this style that feels raw for people. I think particularly though with character design, I was very intentional because I kind of might be a hot take, but I am kind of tired a little bit of the way Black people are depicted in art.
Right.
And I think it's still stereotypical and still a little bit uniform. And I
Hmm.
think that Black people come in too many shapes, sizes, and
Right.
even features that I really wanted to be intentional with the way I depicted my characters, both in skin tone and also in features. And so I drew from a lot of my Black friends. I literally had their pictures and I drew them over and over and over and made sure I was pushing different shapes. A lot of people didn't know that I was pushing
Yeah.
the lips, but particularly my friends had that. But like me, I don't got that much lips. It's right? Like we're all different. But
Right.
I
Right.
drew from people around me and I made sure I pushed certain styles. And I think that as well gave a rawness to it because I wasn't looking only at Black characters in media. I was looking at Black people in real life
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
drawing from that.
Yeah,
So,
that's something I noticed too. I'm like, obviously the main character in the film being black, it felt I'm like, okay, yeah, these are clearly, black women I'm looking at, right? There's no question about it, but it also doesn't it feels like there's a level of care to it where I'm like it doesn't feel like a caricature in any way. It feels like, okay, this is a real person. It still has that rawness, it still has that authenticity, but there's a lens that someone is looking through to make this character the way they are.
thank
Yeah,
you.
I definitely noticed that, and even going into you kind of talked about just drawing things that you see and kind of implementing that into how you animate. What I noticed is like your use of animation to show and not tell. Like so much of the story is, and like you said, you're a storyteller at heart, so I know you know what I mean? There's no question about it. But so much of what I noticed in the film, just even little cuts to certain things that tell the thought that the character's having without them even having to say it. Like a lot of that is very present in the film too. So I guess what's your approach to that as well when especially within in a field of animation, like I think I love animation so much because you can do that. You can't do
Mm.
always do that the same way with live action work. With animation, you have the freedom to say, I'm gonna give you the exact feeling that you need, and it wouldn't make sense in real life, but because I'm animating it, there's no rules, right? So like, I guess yeah, what's your approach to that when it comes to
Yeah.
storytelling?
That's a really good question. You ask really good questions. And I'm an inquisitive person. So I would ask you questions, but you're so good at this. I'm like, wow. But yeah, I think I'm a storyboard artist at heart. And I
Mm,
think the job of a storyboard artist is to be able to depict um, things that we envision in our head, but it's hard to even articulate it. So let's draw it. And at least for me, um, I a lot of the things that I wanted to depict, I had a vision for it in my mind, but I also had to consider the time limit I had. I also had
right.
to consider the scope of the story and the things I had to focus on because I'm only one human and I can't do all of it. And so, with all of those considerations, I looked at actually other short films. I looked at movies. For an example, I wanted to depict Tay's trauma, right? But not in your stereotypical heaving, going crazy. I
Hmm.
wanted to depict more of a dissociation, which is just as much, right,
Right.
of pain as someone who is heaving. It just looks different. And so I was like, okay, I want to depict that, but how can I show and not tell it? Because what I cringe at is when you see in films a person is like, yeah, I'm traumatized. And
Hmm.
it's like, yeah, people say that sometimes, but we're artists. Come on, we can show it.
Yeah.
And so what I wanted to do, I literally I took inspiration from uh I literally searched up people having anxiety attacks in all different ways. And then I asked the guy that I interviewed, what did his anxiety attack actually look like? I made him explain and articulate the best way possible.
Hmm.
I also looked at it was this Marvel movie, I forgot, but I watched a scene where he had a panic attack in a restaurant, but it wasn't like heaving. He literally just disassociated it. But the way that they depicted it was so powerful and unique. And I
Right.
drew for inspiration from that. And so I knew how to articulate or rather animate what a panic attack looked like. But how could I do it and show that she was experiencing that in a span of years? And but
Hmm.
showing that in literally 10 seconds. And I was like, wait, I looked at Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is another movie, and
Oh, don't
all
even
they
get me started.
use, right?
Don't even get me
All they
started.
use is match cuts.
Yeah.
They match cut, match cut, match cut in
Hmm.
different time spans, and it shows a tenure of like something going on. But it in reality, for us, it's happening in 10 seconds. And I was
Right.
like, wait, combine it. So what I did, I combined basically what panic attacks actually look like from heaving, but also mainly to disassociation. And then I use match cuts for different moments of her life to show that specific story moment in 10
Hmm.
seconds. And so generally what I do to answer your question when I'm trying to depict things visually, I draw from a lot of inspiration. I look at a lot of films, a lot of movies, a lot of people in real life. I people watch all the time. Um,
It's the
and I
best thing to
draw
do.
best thing to do, like, and I basically put it all together and it culminates into a point where I uniquely craft something where I can visually depict something that's not stereotypical because
Hmm.
I think you start to become stereotypical when you focus on one source.
Hmm.
And I draw from a lot of sources, and life is a big enough source itself. So
Yeah.
that's what I do to depict the things that I'm trying to do.
I like that you brought out Everything Everywhere All at Once. That's like my second favorite movie, just like of all time, right? Like I love
So
that movie.
good.
And but now that you mention it, going back to that sequence, because I remember watching that part of your film and saying, okay, this feels like this part right here feels like the heart of the story in a way, in terms of like a lot of who Tay is as a character is built on these moments that I'm seeing. Like I can understand more about her as a character just because of this little 10-second, you know what I mean? This little flash here. And I feel like in the same way with Everything Everywhere All at Once, it's like there's so much story there and it can go by really quick, but if you're not paying attention, you're gonna miss who this character
Yeah.
is. So I'm glad that you brought that up because that I'm making that connection now. So that's great. That's great. And I was even gonna, you kind of touched on it already. I was gonna go into um, just the anxiety kind of sequence or PTSD sequence within the film because I talked to you about before we started about that one frame. That one frame is it's so good. I don't want to spoil it if people haven't seen it yet, but it's at 6:15, 6 minutes and 15 seconds in
Six
the film.
6:15. I don't know if I even remember my time
Hey,
codes. You're
I
good.
have
That's
it.
you
I
remember.
have it because I remember I commented it and I was like this part right here.
It
This
really hit.
because that but that the image itself, the
Okay,
image
I'm going
itself,
to it right now. 6:15, you said?
6:15.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Like that image right there is like it's perfect. Like
Thank you.
the contrast of colors obviously, but also like the composition of it, like
Thank
it's
you.
just perfect. And I was like, I saw it and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is someone that knows what they're doing. Like this is crazy. Like yeah, so that shot right there kind of also the same way that montage sequence does, that shot right there also kind of encompasses what we're talking about in the film. And even on a smaller note, like when you talk about the show and tell aspect of you making it, like when Tay's having that conversation with her mom about, hey, how do you still have faith after your injury? Well, she could have just said that, but it was the cutaway to the wheelchair. I was like,
You are so observant.
I was
Thank
like,
you.
that's all I needed to know because you didn't even have to say it after that point. That's all I need to
So
know.
observant.
It's the cutaway to the wheelchair, and I said, okay, you know that's perfect. That's all we need to know. I don't need to know any further because I know exactly what you're talking about. Um, so yeah, like just stuff like that. I was like, I noticed. I'm like, okay, this is someone that knows what they're doing. This is someone that understands how story works. You know what I
Oh my gosh, thank you.
mean?
It makes me elated when I hear people articulate or point out things I was thinking months before drawing it.
Right.
And I think one of the greatest privileges I could do or I could have is basically treating my audience as if they're smart because they are.
Thank
And I
goodness.
think um, I would have made my audience feel dumb if I didn't do that cutaway and just said, "Well, mom, you're in a wheelchair and you got sick at this age and da
Yeah.
da da." When I think it's more satisfying to let the audience look and think for themselves.
Hmm.
And I think that everything that I did in my film was to make my audience think even more because even the way Jesus presented faith was through that process. It was never
Hmm.
giving direct answers, it was through parables to invite you in to think for yourself. And so, even with my storytelling, for an example, with the composition that you like at 6:15, I knew this was actually mainly for me. When I have anxiety, it feels like there's a grip on my heart.
Hmm.
And I was like, what are things that grip our hands? And I was like, wait, I'm gonna use hands. I'm gonna show it. I'm not gonna say that. I'm
Exactly.
gonna show it.
Exactly.
So I used hands to feel like something was trying to grip her. But it didn't. And that section of my film was the hardest to draw. I
Hmm.
went through so many reiterations. I went through so many passes. Some people were like, ah, this feels cliche. I changed it over and over until for people it was like, whoa. And so it was really a journey to do that, but I'm so happy I didn't settle and made my audience feel dumb because they're not. Because
Right.
people like you, when you just articulated the cutaway to the wheelchair, I'm like, oh my gosh, you noticed. I was intentional with that. So
But that's
thank
that's
you.
the thing about I guess being an artist is like I feel the same way sometimes. I'm like, are someone gonna catch this little thing that I did? Because I did it for a reason, and I'm really hoping someone catches it. But like the same way, yeah, you talk about your audience being smart. We're losing that so much with a lot of media that we have today, where we
Yeah.
just don't treat our audience as if they're smart, especially in like children media, right? I
Yeah.
mean, let's get into it now. No, they can't see it, but if everyone knows Avatar, this is the reason I'm the way I am is because of this show. Everything about me
Iconic.
is because of this show. But we don't have shows like that anymore that treat children as if they're intelligent. This show, Avatar, talked about everything under the sun. But
Yeah.
nowadays, children's media is so like dumbed down because we don't think that children are going to get it when they're so observant. So it's
So observant.
yes, and but even like adult media as well. It's like we just don't treat audiences as if they're smart, and I think that's where we lose people sometimes, where people aren't as engaged with stuff because it's like, well, I know what to expect from this. I don't have to watch it. This is just like everything else. It's not offering something different. So yeah,
Mm,
you got to keep treating the audiences as if they're smart for sure.
yes, I agree.
How long did it take to animate this?
Um, well, the ideation began last summer.
Right, right.
It took me about a few months to develop the story. And so my story was kind of set in December.
Hmm.
And I started production, like actually drawing what you're going to see on screen in January. And I finished the film in April.
Okay.
So it took me about 4 months to animate everything,
Hmm.
but it took me about 7 to 8 months to from start to finish in terms of ideation to the product. Yeah.
Right. Okay. That and it's all you. Just all the animation was all you.
Yes.
That's so I wish like when a younger me, I had my mom buy me like cartoonist books because I was like I want to do this so bad. I cannot draw to save my life. I wish I could draw. I really wish I could draw. So it's like seeing the process and it's like wow, you did that in 4 months. Like I couldn't imagine doing that in 4 months. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Um
Crazy. It's a lot of work.
And even what I really want to, because you already told me I was intuitive or inquisitive, whatever the word was. Here we go. Like
Inquisitive
inquisitive.
and
Yeah.
intuitive, both.
Intuitive. I want to know because I'm a huge nerd. Tay with the Pokemon. I got like I noticed all was so on the phone was that was Jigglypuff on the phone, right?
Yes.
Okay, and then I saw
So observant.
yeah,
Oh my gosh.
then I saw the stuffed animal Jigglypuff, the stuffed Jigglypuff, Diglett, and wait, don't tell me, I know what it is, the Oddish.
You are,
I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd. I love
people like
Pokemon though.
you. I love it.
I love
Yes.
Pokemon. What can I say? What's up with that? I mean, that says something about Tay's character, but I'm just curious. Was that just the hey, I want to put Pokemon in here because Pokemon's cool, or?
I think both. I mean, if you see my last year film, I did a film on fashion called
Mhm.
Sankofa. And that film, I put One Piece stickers in there, which
Okay.
was not even related to the story, but I just like to drop nuggets of what I like just
Hmm.
because it makes the process a bit more fun for me.
Right.
Sometimes drawing can be laborious, and when I'm like, wait, I get to draw Jigglypuff, I'm like, so sometimes it is for me, but also I think it just adds weight and believability to a person. I think that when we remove kind of like cultural elements or specific niche things
Hmm.
from a character for the sake of like getting it done, I think that can be a disservice sometimes. So, for example, when you're looking at Tay's phone, I could have just done a simple black case and it would
Right.
have worked.
Hmm.
But I think when you add a Pokemon to it, it's like, oh my gosh, she's human.
Right.
And I think that's the point. Like, I think the point of a lot of films is to create relatability and believability. And what is a better way to do that than to just add human touches that we see all around us? If you look at someone's laptop, I bet you 9 times out of 10, they're going to have stickers that represents them on it. And it's
Hmm.
like, it humanizes them and it makes you more curious about them and it draws you near to them. And so
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not going to shy away from putting Pokemon elements in there because I think that's the point of humanizing these characters. So
Hmm.
both ways, it's a lot of just fun, but also it adds weight. And so why
Yeah.
not do it?
Yeah. And it's I didn't notice it the first time, and I went
Yeah.
back and watched it again, and I was like, wait, wait, wait. Okay, I see that. I see the Jigglypuff. I said, okay, and it's a singing thing, so I was like, Jigglypuff. I was like, okay,
Hey, let it be. Yeah.
yeah,
There was a whole theory, we can create a whole story of Jigglypuff and her and how maybe Jigglypuff like gave her, some singing skills and they have a
right.
whole relationship and there's actually Jigglypuffs in the real world. You know what's so funny when you add things like that? People really be going there and
Yeah.
honestly, I
The
love it.
lore. It's
The
the
lore.
lore is deep. The lore is deep. The
Oh my
lore is deep.
gosh.
All right. And so I want to know, like, we're winding down here, just what's like next for us to support for you, right? We supported the film. We supported the film. We want to support more. So how do we do that?
Um, that is such a generous and kind question. Thank you for asking that. I'm currently working on prospect freelance. So one of them would be, um, I can't say because it's NDA, but I can generally say what it is.
Hmm.
One of them will be this kind of short animated thing for a poetry show, and then the other one would be kind of like this anthology in which
Hmm.
I will be animating a section of. So that's the work I have right now. But in terms of personal work, I will be making more films always. I like films. So when my next short film comes out, you guys will know because I'll probably post voice acting auditions and like giving you
Right.
hints that something's in development. And so when that's in the know, I always love supporting just like watching it, and
Hmm.
sharing it so more people can be reached. But in the meantime, outside of all of that, I do want to work for animation studios. So I will be creating new storyboards, more character designs, just vamping my portfolio. So I'll be posting that through all my platforms so I can get more recognition and hopefully some studios will see that. And so my platforms that I'm on is mainly YouTube and Instagram, which also has links to my portfolio website. And I go under the alias of RYOO Draws for both my YouTube channel and my Instagram, in which you'll see updated artwork for both fun stuff, but also work stuff too.
Excellent. We have stuff to talk about because I wanted to voice act for years. For years, I wanted to voice act, and I still want to do it. So we have stuff to discuss. Um,
Yes, sir. Love it.
so thank you very much for joining me here today on the Poetry in Motion podcast. Go check out the film. It'll be linked in the description. And yeah, so thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.